I'm Mary Byers, and this is Associations Today. I'm a member of the National Speakers Association and have been for over 2 decades, and I've been impressed as I've watched them respond to a changing environment. And my guest today is Stacy Tetschner, CEO of the National Speakers Association. Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Your association just celebrated 40 years, and that's young, really, by association standards. But many of my clients, when they hit that 20, 30, or 40-year mark, kind of start casting about for their identity to make sure that they're growing in the right direction in the right way. And I know that you're using research to help provide the data that you need to make educated decisions about the future of the associations. Let's start with that. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what you're hoping to learn.
You bet. We were finding ourselves really outpaced by change. Even as a 40-year-old association, speaking had been around obviously much longer than that as a profession. But as we were being outpaced by change, we needed to accelerate what we were doing, and the best way to do that was bring in a couple different companies, knowing that we want to be the best in the world at education events, face-to-face and virtual education, as well as community. We brought in an expert company to help us evaluate where are we, where is the marketplace going, and what could we do with where things are going to leapfrog instead of try to play catch up all the time. And secondly, we also brought in a company to look at our brand and looking at our brand, not just who we are and what we want to be to members, but what do our members want to be to their clients, so that we could understand where did they want to be so we knew where to put ourselves. And so by taking those two organizations, the research they brought in, we were able to develop a strategy to help us leapfrog, become much more relevant to the audiences that we're hoping to serve.
You face what a lot of associations face, and that is a wide variety of members with a wide variety of business models. And that easily can lead to the trap of trying to be all things to all people. Talk a little bit about how you're avoiding that trap at the National Speakers Association.
The trap for us, because we fell into it, we started to chase every shiny coin that was out there, saying, well, that could be a potential member for us, that could be a potential audience for us. So we got really clear and decided what are the segments within this profession that we know we can serve best. And in doing that, we even drilled down and developed personas for each of those segments. So when we develop a new program, or a new service, even if we're looking at a location, we say, what persona does this fit? Who are we best serving when we do this? So that we're not chasing all the shiny coins. And then if a group falls outside those segments that we've identified that we want to key in on, if they come along with us, that's great, but we're not necessarily going to chase them.
Now, at one time, a large number of your members identified themselves as keynoters, and that's no longer the case. Is that one of the personas that you maybe have identified? And if you have fewer members that identify themselves as keynoters, what's that mean in terms of the decisions you're making regarding meetings and educations and publications? That is a great point. That exactly is one of the points that we realized that we were getting outpaced by change. When we did a survey about 8 or 9 years ago, before the Great Recession, we knew that about 70% of our members consider themselves keynoters as a primary function of what they do. When we did a survey about 3 years ago, right around 30% of our members were in that category. What that told us was that the profession we were serving had changed, and what everyone used to strive to be a keynoter, a lot of them were much more accepting that keynoting is a portion of a greater speaking or greater information delivery business. So that helped us develop, yes, keynoters are one of those personas, but there are 7 others that we also need to focus on, which could be trainers, consultants, facilitators, authors who speak. Finding that right mix is what's been important to us being successful in catching back up with where our profession has gone. Well, and really understanding the member profile then, I'm assuming, leads some clarity to you. I mean, 8 segments is still a lot to balance,
but knowing that you have 8 as opposed to 15 leads clarity in terms of where you're going, and I'm assuming that there's some overlap between those different areas as well.
There is, and when I say there's those 8 personas, it doesn't mean there's 8 different programs we pursue, but there's a lot of overlap in all of them. And the common thread that runs through all of them is they're all getting paid to speak at a certain level. Again, when we look at the past and the mindset of a lot of folks, paid to speak means, up on that large platform, delivering a keynote presentation. Getting paid to speak can be a trainer that's doing a breakout session. It could be someone who's doing all-day training sessions in a corporation. But the common thread is the spoken word, and there are really, for us, 4 keys that we'll focus on. How can we help them be more eloquent from the platform? How do we help them develop an enterprise? How do we help them develop their expertise? And how do we do it all ethically? So those 4 E's guide and are the overlap in each of those personas.
And you've also embraced another strategy that I think is intriguing, and that is not only are you providing services to members, but you're providing services to non-members. And talk a little bit about the balance that's required when you've got dues-paying members and non-dues paying non-members. Talk about the balance that it takes and how you decide how you're going to move forward to serve each of those groups and to serve them well.
It is. Well, our guiding principle has always remained, and we'll steal it and give credit to it every time to American Express, but membership does have its privileges with us. Whether a member is getting a discount on attending a meeting, whether they're getting exclusive benefits from us, but we have found that with our 3,000 members, there were also about 10 to 13,000 unique visitors each month coming to our website, and we didn't know who those were. So as we started doing some capture of that data about them and asking them, would they like to follow us and become part of a tribe? We don't charge for that. Within there, we share certain information about our profession. Let's be honest, in today's internet world, anyone can go out and Google just about anything and figure out what they need to figure out. We want to be that concierge that helps make it easier, and to give a sampling of that, we also do that to that tribe of 13,000 followers that we've amassed. And we'll share video tips, we'll share audio tips, we'll share free chapters of our book. And once they see what we provide and that we're not giving them any kind of sales pressure to join, a lot of them will just come over and say, wow, there's something about this organization that's unique, that they want to make us successful, they want to give back. And that's how we balance that. We don't give them everything, but we're certainly happy to share some of our larger tips that are, if they invested some time, they would probably find it researching it through Google anyway.
So essentially you're giving them a preview, you're giving them a taste, you're whetting their appetite, and you're letting them know what kinds of products and services you offer if and when they decide to become members. So as we wrap up here, Stacy, what advice would you give to another association executive who maybe needs to do some research and get real clear on who their members are and how they can best help their members? What have been some of your lessons learned?
My biggest lesson out of everything we've done is I've never lost my sense of curiosity. I am always curious what's making a speaker successful in today's market. And the other piece is what are making the leading associations successful today. And I continually do my own research as well as the research we bring in to find out what is it that's making things work really well. I always want to be the best in the world at the space that we own. What are the people that are best in the world in those other spaces doing so that we can emulate that here as well?
What I love is the focus on excellence. I believe that many associations are not purposely, but sometimes they're settling for mediocrity. And a great place to start is really asking, how can we take our offerings from mediocre to excellence? Because that's an opportunity to transform the association. Stacy, thanks so much for sharing with us today. Appreciate it. I'd like to also thank my production partner, ComPartners. If you're looking for an online learning provider, I suggest you contact them at compartners.com.